Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about cord cutting. Many of you probably have cable bills upwards of $200 plus for your internet, TV, and phone. I used to be the same way. Now I'm going to, in this video, just take you through a very easy setup that I've put together that works well for our family, that has drastically cut our cable bill. Not quite in half, but pretty darn close. And with the savings, they're real savings that where I'm not trying to trade promotional plans from Comcast to AT&T. I've got one flat rate that I'm paying for all my services, and I'm getting all the cable channels that I've always wanted. I'm not losing. There's no channels that I don't get that I didn't get before with this setup. There's a little bit more to get used to as far as having your TV set up and switching between different inputs for different services depending on kind of what you want to watch. But to me, that's kind of a small inconvenience for the savings that you're going to get. So what I'll do is take you through kind of a quick overview of the components of my system, and you can easily duplicate it at home and then save yourselves a ton of cash. All right, so let's go through a couple of the key components of my system here before I do an actual walkthrough on my TV so you can see kind of what it looks like in real time. First key component is to have really good high-speed internet service. So for that reason, I did stick with Comcast for my internet service. It tends to be the fastest speed and bandwidth available here. AT&T is probably good enough for many setups, and maybe you have other local providers that will be good enough too. But again, for me, I just found that Comcast had the highest speeds available, and we didn't want to be in a situation if we were going to make the complete cut from their TV service to be constantly buffering and waiting for shows to load and pausing, if we're playing Netflix or so on and so forth. So we stuck with Comcast for that reason, for our internet service. So a good high-speed internet service is going to be key because you're going to be streaming a lot of your TV over the internet as opposed to having a separate cable service, and that's where a huge part of your savings is going to come from. Another piece to that is, and not required, but a nice component, and I'll talk a little bit more about why when I go through my walkthrough on my TV. I also have an antenna up in my attic that receives over-the-air local HD channels completely for free. So CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, they all are broadcasting all the time, pretty much throughout the country. All you need to do is hook up what's called an over-the-air antenna or OTA antenna. You can find them on Amazon or even in local home improvement stores and Walmarts and stuff. And mine's in my attic. It's pretty decent one, and keeping it in the attic kind of keeps it from being affected by weather or getting damaged outside by weather. If you live in an area like mine, which can experience some pretty hefty storms, an attic is probably a pretty good place to go. There's two kinds, directional and omnidirectional. I use directional because I'm actually pretty far from a good hour or more from the nearest local cities. So I need a good, powerful antenna to pick up those signals, and with a directional, even as far as I get perfect reception through just about all my HD channels, and I actually get them from the next town over. So I'm halfway between Chicago and Milwaukee. I actually pick up Wisconsin channels as well. So for whatever reason, if I want to watch those, I can with the over-the-air antenna. And it's completely free, and the HD signal and picture is absolutely perfect. It's actually better than a Comcast TV HD picture because those signals tend to get filtered and compressed as they get sent to your home, whereas the signals being broadcast over the air are completely uncompressed, so they tend to be even a little clearer than some Comcast TV or other TV kind of digital cable services. So it's a nice feature because you get that really nice picture. So when I watch sports on NBC or CBS, I get a really great picture for football games and stuff like that. So it's nice. And then also most of the channels we watch are on those channels. So if we want, we can just watch it over the antenna, and we're not using any of our internet or bandwidth. So if we're on our laptops on the internet or doing things, we're not kind of fighting for data as we sit there in the living room. So that's also a reason why I've got the antenna option as well. But it's not needed, as you'll see. There's other ways to get the channels that you need. So in addition to the internet, an antenna is a nice feature. Also having a streaming TV stick, as they call them, like Amazon Fire, is also going to be a key piece to this, so that you can get all the different TV apps that you'll be able to stream a lot of content over. Now, I go with Amazon Fire just because it's kind of the one I started with, and it had one of the first ones that allowed you to have PlayStation Vue service, which I'll talk a little bit about in a little while as well, which is really the major piece to all of this is PlayStation Vue. It gives us all the cable channels I'm looking for. It was one of the first to have that, so I've just kind of stuck with Amazon Fire since then, but I think now you can probably use Roku or Chromecast, or many others have it too. And I'll take you through kind of that walkthrough of all those different components as you see with my actual TV setup. So in addition to that, you know what, obviously we have Netflix and Amazon. I'm an Amazon Prime member, so we have Amazon Video, so we stream kind of all those things over our internet as well. But really the biggest piece for us about cutting the cord was to maintain some of the major channels we still like to watch, and that's where the PlayStation Vue kind of service came in. And it's not expensive. It's $40 a month. You get most of the major channels that you're looking for, such as TNT, TBS, AMC, ESPN for sports fans. There's a ton that I'll kind of go through as I walk through on my TV. So we'll go down, we'll walk through what it looks like on the TV, and then you'll kind of see what it may look like on your TV and kind of how it works and all that kind of thing. So it may look a little weird that I'm filming my TV instead of taking you through kind of an on-screen laptop walkthrough, but I wanted you to see how it looks and feels to actually switch between Amazon Fire and your antenna service and kind of what it actually looks like as you're using a TV. So let's go through that walkthrough. Alright, so now I got the camera pointed on the TV set here so you can see kind of what this setup actually looks like while it's on a TV. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the TV on. And I've tried to dim the lights in the room so it won't have too much reflection on the TV itself. Alright, so now with this initial setup, what this is actually the antenna that I have in the attic, bringing in the basic local HD channels for free. So channel 2, channel 5, channel 7, which is basically CBS, NBC, and ABC here locally, and Fox, and a bunch of other PBS type of stations are also available free through a basic over-the-air antenna. So this is actually the best picture and signal that you'll get in HD, is this pure over-the-air signal. It's actually a little clearer than your Comcast cable, because that cable and other types of cable TV services can be somewhat filtered. I'm going to turn the volume a little bit down. So this is a basic TV setup, and I have the antenna going into my TiVo system like I mentioned before. Here is the TiVo guide. So like I said, what's nice about it is with the over-the-air channels coming in, I have a TV guide that I can use similar to your Comcast cable guide. So I can see what's coming up next. I can set programs to record if I like using the DVR recording system. So it's nice to have. Otherwise, if you just connect the over-the-air antenna to the TV directly, all you can basically do is just flip through channels non-stop, and you don't have a guide to use where you can quickly look at what's going on while you still have kind of the current program going on in the corner to the upper right there. So I like it, and it's pretty easy to get around. Here's all my kind of recordings, Ellen being one of my wife's shows, Angler's Anatomy obviously, and then so you can see all the programs we have in our DVR recording. It's got a ton of DVR space, which is really nice. You can use your TiVo app to set it from your phone if you like. So that's a really nice feature. In addition, it's got a few apps that you can use that come along with it: Netflix, HBO Go, Amazon, and like I said, usually I use YouTube on here. Otherwise, for like Amazon Video and Netflix, I'm usually going through my Amazon Fire, which I'll take you through here in a second, just because it has kind of everything all in one place for me. So this is a nice reason I pay for the extra for the TiVo, is to kind of have the DVR set up with my over-the-air antenna channels. There are some cheaper options out there, but TiVo is just pretty high quality, and it's only like $15 a month, which is pretty typical DVR service from like Comcast. So And it's just it works well for us, and it's easy for my wife to use, which is very important. So here are my basic antenna channels. Again, really great hot HD picture comes through. The Olympics are on right now. Really nice picture. So let me show you now. Normally what we're using, if we're not watching one of the basic local channels like NBC or CBS or what have you, we use Amazon Fire. So a nice little feature of Amazon Fire TV is if you just hit the button on its remote, which is a really small remote here, which I'll make viewable in the camera, it'll change the TV's input automatically to the Amazon Fire once you hit the button on the remote. So you don't have to flip through all these inputs like I'm kind of doing right now. You can see me doing on the side of the TV here. So with Amazon Fire, one of the most popular apps that we're using is the PlayStation Vue TV service. So in place of Comcast, and this is where I say this is not maybe a truly cord cutter setup, but it is far less costly than having a whole Comcast internet and TV setup. With the PlayStation Vue service, you basically get all the cable channels you're probably going to want and that you'd use the most with a Comcast type of service. For only $40 a month is their entry-level package, which is what I currently have, and it gets me all of the channels that I really need, and I'll show you a few of them here. And it's a pretty reliable service. I've had very few issues with the Comcast internet. I've had very few issues with buffering or delayed responses, even with sports, like on this channel 2. Sometimes with sports, if there's a lot of really fast action going on, you may kind of see a little bit of a difference from the true HD channels, but it is not enough to really bother you so much. And I'm a big sports fan, so I can be picky about those things, and I'm fine with it. So PlayStation Vue, it's one of the TV services out there that you can stream over the internet. You've probably also heard of Sling, which is another service I've actually tried before, and I also like that one, and it's an even lower costly option to the PlayStation Vue service. Sling, I think, has an entry-level package for about $25 a month right now. Now, the reason that we switched over from Sling to PlayStation Vue is it had a few more channels included, and the big one being HGTV, because my wife can't live without that one, and also DIY Network, which is another one that I think was the one that was missing from the Sling setup that we had before, which kind of caused us to make the switch. But let me go over here. So here's kind of the basic guide for PlayStation Vue, where you can kind of go through everything that's live right now. And here's, and this is where I say you got FX, you got FXX, you got DIY Network, True TV, and let me go to the larger guide where you can see all the channels kind of come through. So we have HGTV, and it also has local channels too, so if I have any antenna issues going on, which is pretty rare, but sometimes does happen depending on weather, it does have my local stations, so Channel 2, which has college basketball on right now. It also has NBC, ABC, and Fox included as well. So if I had to, I could just use the PlayStation Vue service all the time, but if I'm watching something on a local channel like NBC or ABC, I'll generally just kind of switch over to my antenna to watch it on there, so I'm using less internet bandwidth, and if we're using our laptops, we're not fighting for data service or anything like that with the TV. So Fox, CNN, Food Network, Sci-Fi, Freeform, AMC for all our Walking Dead fans like me out there, Bravo, TNT, TBS, all the major stations that you're going to be looking for are going to be out there on PlayStation Vue for the most part. And they have different packages too. Like actually right now, you're actually seeing more channels than I would normally get because PlayStation Vue is always running promotional periods where they'll give me the Elite package, which is one of their higher end ones that includes more channels, and they give it to you for like 6 months. I think this is my second time they've given me a 6-month trial run of Elite to try out, so which is kind of nice. And they also do HBO and Showtime preview weekends and things like that too as trial periods. So it's a really great service, really good quality. I've had very little issues with the PlayStation Vue service, and it gives us, like I said, most of the channels that we're looking to get for the most part. And it also has a DVR type of service. So when you find a program that you like, and you can see the little record marker right there on this show, you can tell it that it's one of your favorite channels or TV shows, and it'll actually kind of store them on a cloud type of DVR, not stored locally. But it's really nice because you can go back and you can look at the different saved shows that you may have that you haven't watched yet. So if you go into your list, it'll show a few different episodes that you have available on the DVR that you haven't watched that are basically recorded on the cloud DVR. So really good service. Highly recommend it for someone that kind of wants to cut the cord with Comcast as much as they can to cut their bill, but still kind of wants all the major channels they like to watch. So let's now go back to the main Amazon Fire menu. And again, reason I went with Amazon Fire, at the time it was one of the few TV streaming sticks or pieces of equipment like Roku and Chromecast that had the PlayStation Vue app. So that's one of the reasons I went with it, and then we just kind of like it, so I've just kind of stuck with it for now. But I think right now Roku has it, and then a bunch of others have PlayStation Vue too. So when it comes to the streaming sticks, I think they're all getting pretty close in terms of having all the same apps and features. So it's kind of becoming a pricing game between the two. So here's where I said, with my basic Comcast internet service and basic TV package that just comes with it, it also came with HBO Go included. So, we're big Game of Thrones fans. So we have all the access to all the shows as soon as they air. Pretty much once they're done, they become available on HBO Go. So we can watch them on HD here on the TV. That's the only kind of drawback, is we can't watch them live. If I wanted to watch them live, I could with the basic Comcast TV box, but then it would just come as a regular digital channel, not an HD channel. So if we just wait till the show's done, turn off all our social media feeds so we don't get any spoilers, we can watch it in full HD on the HBO Go app, and then we have access to all their normal, movies that are available, and all the other shows that become available on it are included in this kind of setup as well. So it's nice. That, and then, obviously we use Netflix like just about everybody else in the world, in addition to the normal, Amazon Prime options that are out there, which they have decent movie and shows now too that you can watch. So with this setup, you're not going to be hard up for entertainment, and you could severely cut your cable bill drastically. And I'll kind of go through how much we're saving compared to what we were spending when we had full Comcast TV HD service and internet and phone and all that kind of stuff. So let's go through that right now. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that walkthrough. I hope that kind of gave you a good idea of how this works and what it actually looks like on a TV, and I hope that was kind of helpful to help you see that it's really not a big deal to cut Comcast cable service and to use a TV streaming service or an antenna to get some of your local channels. So let's talk a little bit about some of the savings by doing this kind of a setup. Now, prior to doing this through Comcast, we were with their Comcast TV, internet, and phone, which we never use the phone because we have cell phones, but it didn't cost anything anyway. But with TV and internet service, we were at about $225, I think, all in, with the cable package that we have. And we didn't have anything extravagant as far as movie channels or anything like that. I think we had HBO was it, because we're big Game of Thrones fans. And then we had just basic HD channels service and DVR service. And with that, we also had maybe 2 or 3 extra equipment boxes throughout the house for bedrooms, to have additional TV service in those bedrooms. And that's where I mentioned before a lot of the savings comes in here. So with the current setup, high-speed internet, we're paying about $80 a month right now because we got the biggest, most powerful Comcast internet service package that they had, because I didn't want to deal with buffering or anything like that, like I mentioned. You can get much cheaper plans than that one from them. You can get high-speed internet from AT&T and others, which will probably be fine and good enough for the most part. But for us, we're paying $80 a month for the highest internet speed service they had. PlayStation Vue service is $40 a month, like I mentioned, to get just about every cable channel that you really would want, so that you're not missing out on anything that you had before. Again, there are some cheaper options like Sling, which I think has an entry-level package of like $25 a month right now, which has a lot of the similar channels, but just a few less than PlayStation Vue last time I checked. So depending on what you're looking for, Sling might work just as fine. And I had Sling when I first started before PlayStation Vue came out, and it worked fine for me. I had really no complaints. We just switched to PlayStation Vue because they had a few more channels to offer that we were looking for. So you could save a little bit more with Sling there too, but we use PlayStation Vue. So right now we're at $120 a month for those two things. We added the TiVo DVR, like I said, because I have the antenna channels in HD, and that gives us a TV guide and a DVR that we could use for those antenna channels that are coming in. So if we want to record shows that are coming over the air on NBC, CBS, those kind of channels, we can do that. And that's $15 a month, which is a little pricey in my opinion. There's a ton of DVRs out there that you can get for less per month, and some I think you can even buy as a one-time kind of fee. I'm going with the TiVo and the DVR right now because of simplicity, so my wife can easily use it, and it's really user-friendly. So again, this was a balance of not only cutting costs and cutting the cord, but making sure it was easy enough that she still felt comfortable as not a techie kind of person, being able to navigate all these different, kind of systems and services. So that was a big piece of this too. So nonetheless, another $15 for that, so we're at about $135 kind of all together for our services. The Comcast internet includes the HBO, so we're not paying anything extra for that. We pay an extra $10 for Netflix, so that puts us about $145-ish all together with Netflix. Amazon Prime I pay for anyway for their shipping and stuff, so I kind of don't count that against my TV costs. So really you're looking at about $145 a month. I got HBO, I got every cable channel we really want or need. I've got they come in HD. They have DVR service through both the PlayStation Vue Cloud DVR and through the TiVo DVR. So I got everything I had before for $145 compared to about $225 with Comcast. And the $225 was actually, usually it was from me negotiating with them some kind of promotional deal they had. The $145 I'm paying now is total. It's not a promotion, it's what I pay, and it doesn't go up unless they raise prices on the service itself. And you can bring that down even more. If you went with Sling instead of PlayStation Vue, you'd probably save a few bucks. If you went with a lower speed internet service through another provider, or just a lower Comcast package, you could save a few more bucks there. If you don't want TiVo or an antenna service, or DVR for your antenna, you can save another $15 there. So you can really get this bill probably down under $100 a month if you really wanted to. I went for kind of all the best kind of things in this setup, and I'm still only at $145 per month. So hopefully this helps. I hope you make the jump and cut the cord like we did. It saves you a few bucks. You're not going to miss anything. I'm not. Feel free to shoot me a question down in the comments if you have any. If you have a cord cutter setup that you have some good ideas for, or some suggestions that I didn't mention, or things that work good for you to share with others, feel free to drop those in the comments as well. And if you can subscribe to our channel, I'd really appreciate it. We'll be putting out videos throughout the year, and we hope to see you on here again. So thanks. We'll talk to you next time.